Students, we have seen the question paper review part 1 with long essay and short essays, and this part 2 video covers the short notes of the same question paper in April 2019. So we'll move on to the questions. Short notes, there are 5 short notes, each carries 5 marks. Dengue fever and its complication, anaphylaxis, role of CSSD in hospital, opportunistic infection in AIDS, and catheter associated urinary tract infection. So some of the questions are actually indirectly asked, and we will see how the answers are. So the first one is dengue fever and its complication. Even though they asked like dengue fever and its complication, we should write about some points regarding the dengue fever. So what is dengue fever? It's known as break bone fever. It is an infectious tropical disease caused by dengue virus. The dengue fever virus is RNA virus from the family Flaviviridae and the genus Flavivirus. It is transmitted through arthropods, especially mosquitoes. The name of the mosquito is Aedes mosquito. The course of infection is divided into 3 phases like febrile phase, critical phase, and recovery phase. Each phase it has different kinds of signs and symptoms. If you are not able to write so many, at least write few signs and symptoms in each phase. Try to explain the phases because they have asked dengue fever and its complication, but we don't know the answer key has whether only complication or something about fever, with dengue fever also. So it's better to write the signs and symptoms a little bit about in this topic. Febrile phase, critical phase, and recovery phase, each has its own signs and symptoms. Febrile phase, patient will have fever and fever related issues. Patient will have joint pain, muscle pain, vomiting, rash, and diarrhea. Whereas in critical phase, the patient will have hypotension, pleural effusion, ascites, that is collection of fluid in the pleural cavity, gastrointestinal bleeding. The bleeding from the nose, mouth, and gastrointestinal tract happens because of the low platelet count, that is less than 50,000 during dengue fever. Recovery phase will have altered level of consciousness, seizures, itching, and slow heart rate. Next, the complications. So when we focus the complication, you should write a little bit in detail because they have asked the complications as a main part. So dengue hemorrhagic fever is the first complication, that is DHF. It's a severe and sometimes fatal form of the disease where the patient develops warning signs like abdominal pain, persistent vomiting, hemorrhagic manifestations. So everything happens because of low platelet count. Marked change in temperature. So from the hyperthermia, the patient may suddenly move into hypothermia. It's a starting stage of the shock actually. Changes in mental status causing irritability, confusion, or aberration, and this problems happens because of severe bleeding, and this leads to dehydration and shock. So the patient may continue to another complication called dengue shock syndrome, that is DSS, which includes restlessness, cold, clammy skin, rapid weak pulse, narrowing of the pulse pressure. So what is pulse pressure? Systolic minus diastolic blood pressure. So that will be narrowed, that is become less when the narrowing of pulse pressure happens. So during the shock, the patient's pulse pressure becomes narrowed. So patient will have dengue hemorrhagic fever, which continue to become a dengue shock syndrome. These two are the main complications. Other than that, the patient may have rare complications like cardiomyopathy, seizures, encephalopathy, and viral encephalitis, hepatic injury, depression, pneumonia, iritis, inflammation of the iris, orchitis, that is inflammation of the testicles, euphoritis, inflammation of the ovary. So these are all the rare complications patient may get after the dengue fever. So the next question is anaphylaxis. They have asked generally anaphylaxis, so you should try to write everything in that part. So meaning, ana means without, phylaxis protection. What is the definition? It is a immediate hypersensitivity reaction, that is type 1 reaction with an allergen introduced into the body and IgE released in our body causing severe allergic reactions. When an allergen is introduced into our body produces IgE, which causes severe allergic reactions. In the next stage, It may occur within few minutes or seconds of exposure to allergen. So this is type 1 reaction or immediate hypersensitivity reaction. So the patient may have the problem within few minutes or few seconds. So what is the cause of anaphylaxis? Actually, it is maybe a food allergy, idiopathic, maybe without knowing any reason, drugs, latex, hormones, insect bites like ants, bees and wasps, if they bite, also cause a hypersensitivity reaction. So this anaphylaxis reaction usually very severe. How it happens, the pathophysiology, if we see, there are two things happens. The first thing is like first time when the patient get introduced into the allergen, what happens, that is first exposure, allergens introduced into our body for the first time, and it stimulates the B cells to secrete IgE, and this secreted IgE will bind to mast cell in the lifespan. So when the same patient get exposed to the same allergen for the second time, what happens, the mast cell which carries IgE will start acting towards the allergen, causing lot of chemical reactions. That is, it will release lot of chemical mediators which is called histamines and cytokines. So what happens, because of this histamine cytokines release or inflammatory markers release, the patient will have severe signs and symptoms. So what are all the signs and symptoms? Actually, you know what are all the allergic signs and symptoms. Like you will have like itching, redness, running nose, swelling in the eyes, itching of the eyes, so swelling of the lips and throat, tongue. All these things are basic allergic reactions. It will be in a little bit severe form in anaphylaxis. The patient will have skin conditions like skin. A patient will have hives, that is the swelling, itching, flushing. And in the face, if you see, patient will have swelling of the conjunctiva, running nose, swelling of the lips, tongue and throat. And in central nervous system, patient will have lightheadedness, loss of consciousness, confusion, headache and anxiety. In respiratory, if you see, the patient will go into severe shortness of breath, wheezing, hoarseness, pain with swallowing and cough. So these all happens, and patient may go to a respiratory arrest also in severe anaphylaxis reaction. Gastrointestinal cramps, pain, diarrhea and vomiting happens because of sometimes GI bleeding, which may trigger all these signs and symptoms. Loss of bladder control also happens in this. So anaphylaxis reaction, it depends upon the patient's severity, the signs and symptoms may change. What is the treatment? Of course, the patient needs immediate medical management. It's an emergency case where the patient to be treated immediately. Usually, if the patient goes into respiratory arrest, he has to be treated, resuscitated with a good airway management, supplemental oxygen. If the patient goes into shock, large volume of intravenous fluids and close monitoring is necessary. Passive leg raise immediately help them to supply blood to the brain. So you can raise the leg immediately and supply entire blood into the brain. Administration of epinephrine is the treatment of choice. Of course, epinephrine is the drug of choice in case of anaphylaxis. We can say it as adrenaline. Antihistamines and steroids are given as a compensation because patient may have lot of allergic reactions which can be subsided by steroids. What is the prevention? Of course, the patient should know about their allergen. They should avoid strictly as much as possible. And they should keep always an adrenaline kit or Benadryl kit in their hand as for emergency. They should always carry a card which shows what they are allergic to, so that immediately the helpers will identify what is the allergy for the patient. So these are all the things you should try to include in anaphylaxis for 5 marks. And the next question is role of CSSD in hospital. So as we said that if they asked for role, we should start with the definition. CSSD, what is CSSD? Central Sterile Supply Department. What is the definition? It is the CSSD is responsible for preparing medical and surgical supplies and equipment so that they are sterile and ready for use in patient care. So what is the aim of CSSD? Continuous supply of sterilized material. So the hospital should not have a lack of sterile equipments. So it will supply continuously the sterilized materials, reduce the number of hospital infection, and reduce the workload of nursing personnel. So what are all the functions? If we see, it will do lot of things from this area where it collects all the articles: rinse, cleaning, drying, checking for damage, sterilizing in its proper way. So as per the criteria and policies, it should be sterilized properly. Labeling should be done, and it should be stored effectively. Issue and distribution to all the hospital wards properly done with a receipt. So these are all the functions of CSSD. So if you remember this flow as a flow, you can remember, because we do procedure, and what you do, you rinse the articles, clean it, dry it, check for the damage, sterilize according to the type of article, label it after sterilization, and store it properly. So when equally you distribute it to all the areas, and keep a receipt of that, so that as a documentation. So this is the functions and the activities of CSSD. If you see in points: receiving and sorting soiled materials used in the hospital, determining whether the item should be reused or discarded. So some of them can be reused, and some of them is like single use, which has to be discarded. Carry out the process of decontamination or disinfection prior to sterilization. So just before sterilization, it is better to do a disinfection. Carry out specialized cleaning of equipments and supplies, inspecting and testing instruments, equipments and linen. They will check whether it is damaged or not. Assembling trays, instrument sets and linen packs. So like catheter set, bowel wash set, so they will dressing set, so they can pack and keep sterilized articles in trays, packing all materials for sterilization, sterilizing, labeling and dating materials, storing and controlling inventory, issuing and distributing. So all these things are role of CSSD. And the next is opportunistic infection in AIDS. So they did not ask about AIDS or HIV or any other thing in the AIDS. They asked only opportunistic infections. So what is AIDS or what is opportunistic infection? You can write both also. So opportunistic infections are infections that occur more frequently and are more severe in people with weakened immune system. Includes people with HIV or AIDS. So you can write what is AIDS, and then you can write what is opportunistic infection. Okay, what is opportunistic infection? The infection which comes in patients with weak immunity. So that is called opportunistic infection. What are all the causes? Generally, variety of bacteria, virus, fungi and parasites also may lead to cause or opportunistic infection. It may spread through air, body fluids or in contaminated food and water. So mostly the risk comes for the patients with CD4 count less than 200 to 500. So if the patient has less than 500 and less than 200, they will have a chance of getting opportunistic infections. So some of the opportunistic infections are candidiasis, herpes simplex, mycobacterium tuberculosis, pneumocystis pneumonia, cytomegalovirus, cryptococcal meningitis, toxoplasmosis, salmonella. Now you can even add mucormycosis, that is black fungus. Candidiasis is a green fungus, and green fungus is aspergillus, and black fungus is mucormycosis. You can add all these things also nowadays as an opportunistic infections. So how you can prevent opportunistic infection, especially in HIV? The patient should take regular medications daily. If they skip, their immunity drops, so that they will have a chance of getting opportunistic infection. Stay in regular HIV care. Get HIV lab tests done frequently, and talk to your doctor if you have a very mild signs and symptoms also. So these are all the necessary steps they should take to prevent opportunistic infection. The 8th question is catheter associated urinary tract infection. You all will be surprised, because where it comes under the infection control, and as per the CDC, catheter associated urinary tract infection, one of the nosocomial infection, one of the type of nosocomial infection, that is COTI. is the most common healthcare associated infection, that is HAI. This increases mortality, morbidity and length of hospital stay, which is the major burden of our society. So if you are preventing this, you can prevent a lot in our society. So what are all the causes of COTI? E. coli, Klebsiella pneumonia, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Candida, Enterococcus and Proteus. These are all the main microorganisms which may cause catheter associated infection. Risk factors, of course, a lot of risk factors are involved. It depends upon the age and gender. Female are more prone for catheter associated infection than male because they have a very short urinary tract. So age and gender. Diabetes, patient with diabetes have a high chance of getting opportunistic infections, that is catheter associated infection. Urinary retention, stagnation of the urine may give a chance for multiplication of bacteria. Poor immunity, meatal colonization, if the catheter care is not done properly. Of course, if the patient is not having a proper personal hygiene, that may also cause UTI. Long duration of catheters, if the catheters are kept for a long duration unnecessarily, of course the patient gets a chance of COTI. Poor catheter insertion technique, so if the person who is inserting catheter is not well trained and not doing the procedure properly in a aseptic technique manner, of course patient may get a catheter associated urinary tract infection. These are all the causes and risk factors. And what is the lab diagnosis done for COTI is, of course, we collect a midstream clean catch urine sample and you send it for a quantitative culture. So what we do, we collect the midstream urine and send it for culture, and so that we will know the number of bacteria and what is the bacteria it is. Other tests like grease nitrate test, microscopic demonstration, that is urine microscopy, dipstick method also available nowadays, which is to find the easier way of finding the UTI or confirming the UTI, but the culture gives the importance so that you will know the exact organism and the resistant antibiotics, so that you can administer proper antibiotic to the patient. So how we can prevent this? COTI is a nosocomial or HAI infection, so of course it can be prevented by proper hand hygiene from the patient as well as the staff. Maintain unobstructed urine flow. Placement only when there is indication. Placement of the urinary catheter only when there is an indication, and leave the catheter in place for not more than 10 days. So you are not supposed to leave it. Actually, you should write here like not supposed to leave the catheter for more than 10 days. Following aseptic techniques, insertion should be done by properly trained personnel. So all these things will prevent the COTI in patients got admitted in hospital. So we have seen all the 5-mark questions in this part, and we will see you with the part 3 video of the rest of the questions in the question paper. Thank you.